stands as one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Changes to the agenda.
Yes, Mr. President, staff has requested that you move new business 1 and new business 2 ahead of the consent calendar.
All right. All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as adjusted? So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Motion was made by Director Wood, seconded by Vice President Washington. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Director Greg Wood,
Yes.
Director Byron Glennon,
Yes.
Director Rick Webb, I'm sorry, he is absent. Vice President Gregory Washington,
Yes.
and President Ben Stewart.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. At this time, I'm going to open the floor to public comments. If anybody has a comment on non-agenda matter, now's the time. Hearing none, I'm closing public comments. Moving on to voluntary public roll call in person or via teleconference. If anybody on the Zoom would like to let us know that they're in attendance to the meeting, now's the time to be acknowledged. Hearing none, I'm moving on to MB1. That is new business 1. MB1, public hearing and adoption of resolution number 2025-16 pertaining to the APN 375-083-10 Oliver resolution necessity of declaring public interest and necessity for acquisition of eminent domain of interest in real property. Presenter Kim Domingo.
Mr. President, would it be appropriate for you at this time to open the public hearing?
Oh, I apologize. I'm now opening the floor to the public hearing. It is 6:03 p.m.
And you'll entertain the staff report and I will give it to you. This is related to the arsenic consolidation project, and specifically, it's related to our agreement with First Mutual Water Company. And I think we've communicated to the board a few times that we've had a struggle with a couple of property owners. This happens to be one of them. This is APN 37508-310. And we have provided the offer to the owner. We pulled an appraisal, provided an offer, has not been responded to. We sent a notice of public hearing, which is exactly what we're doing right now. And so asking the board adopt the resolution so we can move forward with eminent domain proceedings for this project. You will notice in the diagram that's shown on the second page of the staff report, the orange block that you see there is the property. The easement is roughly indicated by the yellow shading, and the dashed line is the proposed water line. It actually serves that property as part of First Mutual. So it's a benefiting property, and in order for us to meet our obligations under the consolidation agreement, we're asking that you adopt the resolution.
Okay.
Is this the one who is not opposed to it at all, but wanted us to go through this procedure?
No.
No, okay.
Okay. Are they still entitled to the money, even if we do eminent domain, or?
That's a good question. John, you respond?
Yeah, they are. So the eminent domain court case will deal with two things. Number one, the right to possession, i.e. is eminent domain properly exercised under the case? And then number two, the appropriate amount of compensation to be paid for the easement.
And so they're not responding to us trying to reach out to them, so we're not going to mail a check to them. Understanding? Are we going to hold it, or are we going to how?
So what happens is when we file the lawsuit, the appraisal amount, or the offer amount in this case, which is greater than the appraisal amount, is deposited with the court as sort of an escrow. And the procedure will go like this. We will immediately move for pre-judgment possession. of the easement on the basis that we're entitled to it as a matter of law, and that will most likely be granted. And then the court will determine the appropriate amount of compensation. If the amount of compensation is equivalent to the offer or the appraisal amount, the court will award that amount out of the escrow that is escrow amount that's deposited with the court when we file the complaint. And I think the offer amount was like $400 and the appraisal amount was virtually nothing.
So would we incur the cost for the court, or would that come out of their?
Yes, you will have to pay an attorney to process the case. I think that this is probably one of the lowest burden eminent domain cases you could have, simply because we don't expect a vigorous opposition. There is no legitimate basis to oppose the taking, and then it's just about the amount of money. And for $400 or whatever the actual amount of the offer is, it's not going to. I shouldn't say it's not going to. I do not anticipate it being a significant fight.
Thank you.
And might I also add to that whatever legal costs that we incur is reimbursable under the grant.
Yeah, the question on this is, one correction though, that on this first public hearing, the amount I believe was $200. It was $400 for the second one.
Oh, correct.
And has there been any correspondence at all with the property owners, or are they just balking at the price that was offered, or just silence from them?
So, our real estate or right-of-way consultant has a long diary of contacts, both verbal and in some cases, actually tried to go out and meet with Mr. Oliver. So there have been numerous contacts with him, trying to get him to agree or create conditions in which he would agree. And he just keeps changing the changing the goalpost.
Okay,
And so this is kind of the last resort. We didn't want to go here, but we are here.
you know, I do have a question for our attorney. Is that the appraisal came back at basically zero because it's a right of way and we offered the $200. So if we have an appraisal of zero and we go ahead and offer the $2, do you think that we may have avoided this, getting to this point if we had maybe sweetened the offer a bit to make it more palatable homeowner?
John saying no.
You know,
Yeah, I understand the question. Without knowing the homeowner's mindset, I have no way to answer that question. It's a matter of how much he would think is appropriate. And keep in mind, the fact that you've adopted the resolution of necessity does not keep you from going back to him with a sweetened offer. All this does is essentially give board approval to proceed with eminent domain and filing a complaint if needed. We have 6 months to do it. So there's nothing to prevent you from trying to resolve it another way between now and the filing date.
Yeah, and he can actually just accept the offer as is.
and because, just looking this over, I would, if I was the homeowner, I would be reluctant to agree to $200 as well. And that's why I'm just saying that, they do receive a benefit by the pipeline going through their property
And the service,
and the service.
because they're part of the First Mutual, which is
Right.
going to be dissolved.
Right,
So that I think that's, and the other thing that needs to be understood is that I think there are 10, maybe 12 total services, 12 services. Two of them are holding out. The others have agreed and given them basically a similar offer, and they've accepted.
okay. I just, all I'm saying is that just eminent domain to me is a last resort. And I just want to make sure that we've done everything we can to try to negotiate with the homeowner. And I don't know what the company that, I don't have their name here, but And I don't really know what the conversations they've had, even though they've got records of everything. I just hoping that we have done everything we can, because, you know, I don't like going this route if there's any other way to avoid it.
Is he on a well with somebody else, or is he on a different, like different water purveyor that, or?
First Mutual Water Company
That's why.
serves all these properties, of which this particular property gets their water.
Gotcha.
So it's just a different place he's paying his bill.
Pardon me?
It'd be just a different,
Will be, he's gonna be paying the bill to the district
versus,
versus, and by the way, just for your information, all the costs related to connection, construction, hookup, those are all being paid for by the grant.
It's a gimme,
Everything is.
a gimme.
Now, it is very possible that the water rates that they're gonna be experiencing are gonna be higher
Yeah.
than what they're currently paying.
Right.
But they're also getting the benefit of having water that meets the maximum contaminant limit.
Right, and I know this has been a long time in the process, and I also look at the fact that, to me, a mitigating factor on this is that they're gonna be able to hook into the system, our system, and they're not gonna have to put the money out of their pocket, the state grant is paying for it, and that's a direct benefit to their property, which actually I think increases the value of the property by having public water as service to the property. And I think that's, to me, that's a kind of a, you know, that does sway me.
One other thing I wanted to point out, Director Wood, because I think I agree with you. This is the last resort. We don't wanna do this. But we even contacted, pulled, preliminary battle reports, began talks and negotiations with people on the opposite side of the street that don't even benefit from the project.
Okay,
And we've approached them, some of them actually willing to participate, but we couldn't get the entire frontage across this particular piece of property.
gotcha.
So, that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing.
Okay. That's all the questions I had.
hey, sir. So now I can
You would
close,
entertain, public comments if you want.
okay? And then, sorry, generally it's written out there for me, so I don't have to apologize. No worries. So, now, I open the floor to public comments on MB1. Hearing none, I'm closing the floor of public comments, and then now we close it and then vote? Or,
That sounds appropriate,
okay,
since you've had a discussion.
alright. Alright, I'm closing it at 6:14. Do I have a motion to approve MD1 as stated?
So moved.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Want to do that again, Mr. Washington?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. The motion made was
It's the
by,
first,
okay, for MB1? Okay, so the motion was made by Director Glennon. The second was made by Vice President Washington. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Director Greg Wood,
Yes,
Director Byron Glennon,
Yes.
Director Rick Webb is still absent, Vice President Gregory Washington,
yes.
President Ben Stewart.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0, and let the record show that it was closed at 6:14 PM. In B2, public hearing and adoption of resolution 2025-15 pertaining to APN 375-083-12, resolution of necessity declaring the public interest and necessity for the acquisition of eminent domain of interest in real estate property. I open the floor at 6:15. I open the hearing at 6:15.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a very similar situation. This is actually the property just to the east of the previous property. It has two frontages. So it has, along, Gobi, thank you, Gobi and 58th Street West. And that's the reason why you saw a $400 offer for Gordiana, is because there's two different frontages. So, again, in this case, we have had a very difficult time getting a response. We've had some interaction with not actually the actual property owners, and some property owners not English speaking. So we've had interaction with them. There's a record of us we had an understanding that they were going to accept an offer, then it never happened. And so, this is one of those situations where, we're just not getting a response, even though, we've been making the offer, doing our due diligence. The recommendation, again, is to, adopt the resolution of necessity.
Okay. Discussion. Hearing none, I will close at 6, hearing, sorry, public comment. Now open for public comment. Hearing none, close public comment and, close the public hearing at 6:17 PM. Do you have a motion to approve NB2?
So moved.
Motion made by Director Glenn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Vice President Washington. Can I get a roll call, please?
Director Greg Wood,
Yes.
Director Byron Glenn,
Yes.
Director Rick Webb is absent. Vice President Gregory Washington,
Yes.
President Ben Stewart.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. Okay, I'm gonna go back to CC1. Okay, back to the consent calendar, CC1, review the check voucher registered dated September 30th, 2025 through October 13th, 2025. Payroll direct deposit dated October 8th and payroll checks dated October 8th. Any discussion? Hey, can I get a motion to approve CC1? Motion made by Director Wood. Do I have a second? Second, Director Glennon. Can I get a roll call, please?
Director Greg Wood,
Yes.
Director Byron Glenn,
Yes.
Director Rick Webb is absent. Vice President Gregory Washington,
Yes.
President Ben Stewart.
Yes. CC1 passes unanimously. Minutes. M1 Finance Committee that was held on September 8th, Wastewater Committee. That's M2. M3, September 10th, regular board meeting. M4, September 24th, regular board meeting. And October 8th, regular board meeting. Discussion? Okay. Got a motion to approve M1 through M5.
I'll move.
Motion made by Director Glenn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Director Wood. Roll call, please.
Director Greg Wood,
Yes.
Director Byron Glenn,
Yes.
Director Rick Webb is absent. Vice President Gregory Washington,
Yes.
President Ben Stewart.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. All right. Now back down to NB3. Identify a pair of low, responsive and responsible bid and approved purchase of backhoe loader from Quinn Company of Lancaster. Presenter Kim Domingo.
Thank you, Mr. President. We, advertised for bids in the Antelope Valley Press on September 19th and 26th on an action that your board took on September 10th. And we received one bid, and that was from Quinn Company for the amount that's shown, $76,132.82. We've reviewed the bid and meets the requirements of the bid. The total budgeted amount split between the two, our two funds is $240,000. It's under budget. So the recommendation is to award that bid to Quinn Company of Lancaster and to authorize staff to issue the PO.
Thank you. Discussion. All right, can I get a motion to approve NV3?
Don't move.
So move.
Okay,
Director. Second.
Second, okay, motion made by Director Glennon, second by Director Washington. Can I go a roll call, please? I'm sorry, I always do it one meeting. Vice President Washington.
Okay.
Director,
Director Glenn's pretty quick tonight on that buzzer.
a roll call vote. Director Greg Wood,
Yes,
Director Byron Glennon,
Yes.
Director Rick Webb is absent. Vice President Gregory Washington,
Yes.
President Ben Stewart.
Yes, motion passes 4-0.
Yeah.
NV4, approve second amendment to agreement with MBS Government Finance Group for financial services related to tax levy services. Presenter Kim Domingo.
Thank you, Mr. President. NBS has been doing our tax levy services related to both water and sewer funds and the lighting and landscaping district since 2019. On May 10th of 2023, we amended the board amended the professional services agreement that extended it to July 9th. Staff is requesting that you amend it for an additional 2 years until July 9th, 2027. Recommend that you approve.
Sorry, I'm taking my notes. I'm slow today. Okay, discussion.
Seems to be smoother the last couple of years than it used to be earlier.
Yes, they do a very good job for us, and Sherry really likes what they're doing, and that's what I listen to. Sherry likes their services.
Smart. Okay, can I get a motion to approve MV4?
so moved.
Motion made by Director Wood. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Director Glennon. Can I get a roll call, please?
Director Greg Wood,
Yes,
Director Byron Glennon,
Yes.
Director Rick Webb is absent. Vice President Gregory Washington,
Yes.
President Ben Stewart.
Yes, motion passes 4-0. Discussion D1, fleet consultant. Presenter Kim Domingo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I brought this discussion item back at the request of Director Wood. Looked at what fleet consultants do. And in general, fleet consultants kind of look at large fleets. They optimize operations by looking at both your vehicle mix, and also the routing and things like that to try to enhance efficiency, and then recommend fleet adjustments. So considering the size of our fleet, and I think kind of the direction that, if I may, Director Wood, I think what you were trying to hone in on is maybe an organized preventative maintenance program. And so if there are any questions on what we currently do, because we actually do have a preventative maintenance program that's based on the manufacturer's recommended maintenance. And I mean, one of the things, we don't have fancy software.
we wasn't talking about the fancy software, but to basically have a fleet record where you can, at any time, you can pull up the maintenance records on any piece of equipment or vehicle. Especially with our vacuum trucks and our back things of that nature. Because when it comes time to having to replace these vehicles, it's good to be able to go back and say, this is what it's cost us in repairs over the last 5 years or 6 years to justify going out and spending. And plus, just to basically have some kind of like what we did with the sewers, to just kind of look at ways where we can have more documentation of what we're doing to our vehicles. And yes, I realize our fleet is small, but our fleet is important to our crews being able to do their job every day. And if things break down, we want to be able to keep that to a minimum. And So it was just looking for a tool to,
This is currently what we do. We have a monthly meeting with our safety meetings. We have vehicle inspections also. Each person shows up for each vehicle and whatever vehicle, the equipment that we have in the shop. Tom is the maintenance mechanic. He does all of the equipment stuff.
okay,
But the mileage gets put in, he takes all this information every monthly, puts it into the computer, and that tells him when the oil change is needed, you know. When he does the oil change, he inspects all the brake pads and everything on the vehicles. So every piece of equipment that we have has a vehicle inspection list, and then that information gets put into the computer with reminders on when to do all the oil changes.
Okay, I've noticed over the years that, you've warned us ahead of time that something is getting pretty close to being replaced.
Well, we've had more problems with the backhoe
Yep.
that we just replaced or are going to replace than any piece of equipment that we've ever had. And I don't know why that is. They always say it was electrical issue, but it wasn't because of maintenance wasn't getting done on the vehicle. It was, you know, electrical problems. And we spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on that thing.
well, that's why I'm glad you guys got a cat this time, because
Yeah, I wasn't about to get a case.
Ace, I don't want to say anything negative in a public meeting, but
For the record, we did this, kind of open source, so anybody could have bid on it.
yes,
You know.
and, you know, I know that, certain pieces of equipment have a higher maintenance issues, like with the Vector trucks, your combo trucks. One of the worst ones for maintenance is VACON. They will cost you an arm and a leg to maintain. And that's why I'm glad we've never went with the VACON, that we've went with other manufacturers, because, you know, there are some brands out there that just can't take the beating like some of them do.
Director Wood, I think you brought up a really good point, though, that I think we could improve upon. And that is not just keep track of the scheduled maintenance, but actually what it costs. Tie that into each vehicle. Because I think if I'm reading or hearing what you're saying, is that this gives you the justification. Right, when that can be part of the record that, hey, here's the dollar amounts we're spending on the backhoe, for example. Here's the justification why we're buying a new one, and that would just support your decision. I think that's definitely worth having.
And that's all I was looking for, is just basically where, you know, for you to be able to come to the board and say, look, in the last 5 years, we have spent $87,000 on this piece of equipment in repairs.
Yeah.
And it also gives justifications not to get a duplicate of what you had. And that's why, you know, you and I talked about it. I'm glad you were able to get a cat, because I know you're gonna be very happy with that, and you're not gonna have near the breakdowns.
I certainly hope not.
That's a comment.
Although it's not my money, it was disgusting to see how much money that we put out on that machine.
Yeah.
You have a comment? I'd like to kind of echo the GM's thoughts on fleet consultants. I'm very familiar with how fleet operates at my old employer, and I've found fleet to be effective on larger scale vehicles. If you have a lot of vehicles that you need to manage and maintain, then a fleet consultant sounds like a good idea. But for the amount of vehicles that we have, and it sounds like the maintenance scheduling that John has in place, I think we have this area covered pretty good. Now, there may be some deficiencies in our record keeping and how we present to CHP. I don't know. But in terms of our CHP records, our maintenance schedule, and our history of vehicles, now if we have a vehicle that, let's say, has 120,000 miles on it that's been in the shop 16 times in the last year, yeah, that's something we need to look at. But I think with the system John has in place, it sounds like we have this area covered. That's just my opinion.
We really appreciate that comment, Vice President Washington. I do see the value though, maybe not of a consultant, but having a system in place where and I'm sure we do. It's just we haven't asked for that report yet from our finance consultant, but is to tie those costs to a particular asset so that we can not just track history, vehicle maintenance history and when the next one's due, but also just the kind of costs that are associated with operating a particular vehicle, because other things may come to light as well. So I think there's some value to perhaps expanding our reporting a little bit, maybe internally at first and sharing it with the board.
I think it's not so important that the board has that information, but that you have that access to the information on what it's actually costing us to maintain a vehicle. And I mean, you know, price of trucks, and they're probably getting close to $100,000 now for a new service vehicle. And we all know what the combo trucks run, and we just approved $176,000 for a backhoe. So it's be good to know if, for you to have that information to saying, hey, you know what, this is what it's cost us over the last 5 years or 6 years, and it's like you reached a point where you can use those figures to say, you know, we're, you know, throwing money after
Good money after bad.
good money after bad money, and that's all I wanted to be able to do, is to be able to just have that information. And then when you do bring it to the board, then you're able to say, hey, this is what it's cost us in you know, in repairs the last 5-6 years. And then it's like,
And I think that's a real simple bit of information to collect and add to
Yeah,
each vehicle.
absolutely.
that'd be great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, any more discussion? All right, moving on to D2, effluent percolation costs and benefit allocation, Kim Domingo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, this is an item that this director would ask to bring back to the board for discussion. And I want to let you know that I've had a discussion with our finance director, and we're starting that discussion. There is a direct connection between what the wastewater plant is producing and the benefit it's providing to the water side. There absolutely is a direct connection. And he and I need to talk about a little bit more about the history, about the rights that were purchased when the ramp down was accomplished, was finished, to meet the requirements of adjudication, the rights that were purchased, for what purpose were they purchased? And we've had we just want to make sure we have some firm arguments. But we have started that discussion because there's obviously a connection, but we just need to figure out what's defendable and what's legal between the two funds. So I wanted to let you know that I think everybody kind of inherently feels like there's a connection.
Yeah.
But to get it from water to sewer, if you're looking at a financial benefit from water to sewer, that's something we just need to tighten up. We want to make sure we're tighten up.
Okay.
So I will bring this back for further discussion.
That's great news.
Okay, D3, accumulated, let the record show that Director Webb is here at 6:34 p.m. Thanks, sir, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
D3, accumulated sludge volume at wastewater ponds. Presenter Domingo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, this is another item that was requested by Director Wood. I want to make sure we addressed. So I actually did a calculation a little bit after I arrived, so that was almost 3 years ago, based on some measurements that Ryan and his staff did at each of the ponds. And granted, this was about 3 years ago, so this number's probably gone down because we had much wetter conditions in a lot of the ponds before. But I'm going to give you the number that I had when I calculated it, and that number is about 575,000 cubic yards of sludge. So, so if you're talking a 10 cubic yard dump truck, you're talking about 5,750 loads. So, again, we believe I believe it's gone down, but that's what we were looking at when I first got it.
But regardless, we have a lot of sludge to move.
Yes.
One question on this, as far as the,
Oh, excuse me, I miscalculated. That's actually 57,500 different truckloads.
okay, it's even worse. On the sludge out there, as far as the order from Lahan, I remember reading that, correct me if I'm wrong, but that we only had to punch holes in the dikes so that they couldn't accumulate water. Is that still the case that we're facing to be in compliance, or do we have to remove the dikes completely?
I would say that I did not read that in the order. And perhaps you might be able to point it out to me where that is in the order.
I didn't read it, this is what it was reported by Steve at the time, that we had to make sure that the ponds could no longer contain water.
So I think when we went to the law and did discuss it, Steve, when they talked about knocking holes in each one of the dikes so water could run through and out towards Edwards. But I don't know that it ever got put in the actual.
Never got put in the order. Yeah.
Okay, so, because I know that,
Them if they had in order to, eliminate any ponding after the pump empty.
so what is your suggestion, John? Do you just go ahead and punch holes in the dikes to where you think?
Myself, I would not mess with them, I'd clean them out and be done with them, and we would always have an emergency backup.
Okay,
That would be my suggestion, but that's my personal suggestion, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but.
well, I mean, that's, your suggestion sounds like a great way to do it, and if there's nothing in writing that we have to do that, that will save us a lot of money and labor of having to knock holes in the dike. And
I don't disagree with your public works director.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay. Moving on to director's reports, comments, future agenda items. I'm gonna start with Director Glennon.
I've got about 5 statements here that I want to make that kind of sum up a lot of stuff that I've heard over the last few weeks, different places. They're very short, but they're very powerful. Words matter. Words matter. E in email stands for evidence. The E in your email stands for evidence. Words matter. What we say changes people. What we say changes people. They are listening. We may not think they are, but they are listening. Word emphasis may change the meaning. Word emphasis may change the meaning. That's a summing up of a couple of the motivational speakers that I listened to the last a couple weeks, but it's just 5 statements I think that are so important about communication. Communication is not necessarily the words we say. It's the emphasis we put on those words and our body language that convey it. But the key one there is E in the email stands for evidence. So be very cautious with what you say in your emails because it can be interpreted completely different than you intended it to and used against you.
Sir? Director Wood?
Yes, yesterday I had the pleasure of participating in an Aqua webinar, and it was securing our water future cybersecurity strategies for the water sector. And it was about an hour and a half long, and I will have a detailed report at our next meeting because there was a lot to unpack there. They had a ton of information, and one thing that they were able to show, because it was Homeland Security and one of the directors of the EPA, and there's some scary stuff going on out there when it comes to hacking systems, and they're focusing, and foreign actors are focusing on water and wastewater systems. And they talked a lot about vulnerabilities, and so there was so much information to pack, I couldn't get a report done by this evening, but I will have a report for our next board meeting. But there's a lot of things in there I think that we need to think about as a board and maybe explore further. And a lot of things to look at our cybersecurity to make sure that we're doing things the right way. There is one thing that I will bring up tonight, is that the EPA offers a free to any agency that they will come in and evaluate our system, our SCADA system, our IT system, everything, and give you a detailed report on all of our vulnerabilities and recommendations on how to fix them. And I think that would be something that we might want to think about exploring. Cost us nothing, and you get the pros that are, this is all they do all day long is look at cybersecurity threats and showing some of the agencies that they've gone through just by looking them up online and finding vulnerabilities that when they contacted the agencies, they had no idea that someone can get into their system as easily as that. And then they were able to make corrections very quickly to fix that. So it was a very interesting webinar, and thank you, Kim, for letting me participate in that, because I think there's a lot of good that can come out for us and a lot of good information that we can use for our agency. And I'll have more at our next board meeting.
Thank you. I actually attended one of those, not too recently, but the one that I felt like was common sense is the first one they said to that was, change the passcode that comes with your SCADA system when they install it. And I go, to me, that's common sense. But from the testimonies they were giving, apparently that's kind of rare for people to do. Like, I kind of blew me away when I heard that. I'm like,
They're actually
change it.
so you can go ahead and change your passcodes on a regular basis. Not just when you get it, but to go in there on a regular schedule and change them to where you can't, makes it harder to be hacked.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have anything. I'm going to go on to Vice President Washington. Do you have anything to share, sir?
Well, yeah, I'll try to unpack a little bit of what Director Wood spoke about, because I too attended the webinar, but he pretty much covered it all. But the webinar was in fact on strengthening cybersecurity across the water and wastewater sector. And I think we all are aware that as cyber threats grow in scale and sophistication, protecting our critical infrastructure has never been more essential. Now, today I found out that the bad guys are also using AI. And man, have the bad guys become sophisticated with it. From holding water agencies for ransom to now shadowing key personnel at water facilities, acquiring as much information as possible, eventually pretending to be the individual. Now, I'm gonna give you an example of a little bit what Director Wood talked about. President Stewart, if you receive an email from John Houghton at 3 in the morning saying, I couldn't open my RCSD account, so I'm emailing you from my personal account because I need to update you on the massive water leak at tank number 1. Please click on this link below to get up-to-date SCADA information so that maybe you have some information you can share with us. Boom. When you click, they got you. That's how sophisticated they are today. So I do look forward to your report. It was a lot, Director Wood. In fact, they sent us a recording of the actual meeting. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Director Webb.
First of all, good evening, everyone. Haven't seen everybody for a while. I've been kind of doing the tour of the state of some conferences. Grandbabies are here. Thank Jesus God for that there. My babies are all well. I left Long Beach when I told you, Sherry. I got pretty close. I don't think it'd be that bad, but that 405 is no joke. Couple things I'd like to bring up about that Washington and directors Washington Wood brought up. At one of the seminars I attended, the EPA was there talking about the same security they do offer the free evaluation. But what was so interesting to me is that how many ways they said you can be attacked. And we tend to just think the computer part, but they take down A, that makes you look at A, and they come in the backside on B. So I think the scary part about it is that you can't stay ahead enough of the game quick enough, because whatever you did Monday, Tuesday is almost obsolete. So I got bits and pieces I'd like to get the report, and I have some information that I had from the seminar I think would be really good for us. Sherry, I bought you back a care package on promotional stuff since we've done a few community events, so I'll get it to you. But I would like to ask the general manager and the board to consider, I've gone to several water reuse conferences now, and initially I thought maybe we didn't have the sophistication of the use for it. But what I would ask is that maybe I spoke to some of the people there about what's going on, and it's coming, whatever it may be, however we see where we may fit into it. But maybe we look into sometime in the spring, inviting some of these people out here, have them put on a workshop and exactly explain it, tell us how this water reuse goes, because there's about 20 different ways it can be reused to the benefit. And several years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I made an inquiry about us with gray water here as a use, and I was told then that it would take away from the treatment plant to use gray water, the water total. So I don't know if we're still net there now, but I would say with the growth of this community, with the dynamics of water, the water reuse is something we need to put eyes on. And I'm going to ask the general manager and the board for us to seriously consider maybe a spring workshop, bringing some of these people in and just see where we fit into it. Because after hearing all these presentations, I envision one day you're not going to have RCSD. You're going to have a regional water group that maybe includes us, maybe Mojave and some of the smaller districts, because the days of smaller districts doing all this big stuff is no longer. That's part one. Part number two, again, Mr. General Manager and staff, I attended purposely several of the presentations on water conservation position, the actual physical position, having a person there. And I would like for us to seriously give some thought to that. With the community growth, with the way the governmental people are putting restrictions on water, we met a 2020 goal and we still didn't do good enough. And I don't think we have someone, I don't know if that should be a hybrid position where you do a little bit of conservation, a little bit of this, or we have to look at a full position. But I'm going to stay on it till we put some eyes on both of these, the water reuse and the conservation to see if it doesn't fit now, it may fit a couple years down the way, but we have to stop waiting for things to happen and look at things that could happen. And the other part I got out of the conferences, I'm going to encourage all of us. I know the way they're kind of spread out, it may be a little bit difficult, but you cannot come away from those conferences without picking up a tidbit that could make the district better as a whole. So I would encourage us as we can, as scheduling permits, to get to them. I didn't get to the house. I did 2 separate evaluation type things I'd like to share with the GM and the board members. So the next meeting I will have those, but all in all, a lot of driving, but I think one of the few times I can say it was well worth it because I have a greater understanding of the dynamics of the water world for us. So thank you guys for that, and thanks for the travel.
Appreciate it, sir. General Counsel update, John Comar.
I believe you have a legal meeting, that's why we reached.
No worries.
Yeah.
All right, General Manager update, Kim Domingo.
Thank you, Mr. President. We received an invitation, an annual invitation from AVAC, the AVAC board, the board president, our representative, for our area, for luncheon with the general manager, so they can meet with a couple of board members. So, it's usually been the president and vice president, but I will entertain whoever wants to attend, or who President deems should attend. It's November 5th at noon.
I am not available, so
Okay,
What date did you say?
November 5th, it's a Wednesday,
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. Director Washington, are you gonna be back in town?
Yeah, I'll be back. Sure, you can sign me up.
Okay. And Director Glenn?
Yeah, I could be there. You're saying about 12 o'clock at
Yes,
Ramon's or?
yes. I guess the
Oh,
the
I'll
usual
be
place.
there.
Okay. I will get back to Matt Knudsen and confirm that.
Yes,
Yes.
I don't mean to cut off. Just to revisit that, did you say that that's a RMAC or a chamber meeting?
No, it's AVAC.
Oh, AVAC. Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Look forward to it. Okay.
The second item I have is related to the committee meetings. I know we've canceled a lot of committee meetings this month, and apologize for that. I think it was just a very busy month for everybody in conferences, and so we would pick up the schedule in November and revisit where we're at with the committees. So you should hear from me next week, starting to confirm some dates and some agendas. All right. And then lastly, I wrote it down after I started hearing things about cybersecurity. So I attended at Tri-State, which was several months ago. I attended a session where a couple of entities in Arizona, water providers in Arizona, were talking about an EPA audit that they went through. Where, see, EPA has a tool, a vulnerability assessment tool online that all water districts are supposed to utilize to assess the vulnerability, and then you develop a plan based on that. So, EPA comes in and makes sure you're at least following what you say you're gonna do. So, we met with in fact, we just met last week with our IT consultant, and we've engaged Black Talon to help us with cybersecurity threats, asked a lot of questions about, are we complying with the EPA's recommendations on vulnerability assessments and establishing a plan, and we've got some gaps. So we're actually in an initiative right now, and we've tasked Ann Reed with spearheading that, because there's a lot related to what we do as in practice to make sure things like changing passwords, periodically. And, where are all your critical files, they stored on site, or they also stored as a backup stored off site? Those are the kind of things that we actually have in practice, but that's some of the things that are being pointed out by cybersecurity threats. So I know everybody's talking about coming back and reporting. Allow me to take the initiative to report back to you what we're actually going to do, or actually in the process of doing. So I appreciate you, both of you, bringing that up, or all three of you bringing it up, and because we are addressing it, and I credit Sherry for she's been kind of hounding us on it, and then also the fact that I went to that conference and I sat in on that audit, and it was a serious thing. I mean, when the EPA comes to audit you, so when you talked about them offering to come and look at your system, I would say that sounds like an invited audit.
Can they bring OSHA too?
Well, one thing that they did recommend, and they recommended this for special districts, small agencies, things of that nature, is to consider changing your internet to a .gov domain instead of a .com or a .org, but to change it to a .gov domain, which would give an extra layer of security, because that way you would have your federal agencies, looking at anybody trying to hack that system, and just gives you another layer of security. And it's a free application. So it might be something to look at, see if that's something that we might want to consider doing to give us just a little more layer of security to have a .gov domain.
Absolutely, we'll ask and take a look at that. I think that's a really good suggestion. And admittedly, I'm definitely not an expert in this, and so I'm going to be looking for our consultant experts to help guide us, and also the EPA guidelines. We want to at least meet those standards, and then go above and beyond that if we can. I also wanted to mention that we've already experienced Director Washington, some of the personal email style attacks. I'll give you an example. Somebody emailed our senior accounting clerk with what was apparently an email from me attached to it, saying that I've approved this, and he was trying to send an invoice for her to pay. And if you looked at the email address, it was, my email address is public record, is kdomingo@rosemancsd.com. Well, this email address was kim.domingo@rosemancsd.com.
Wow.
Well, we had that, what you're talking, Greg, remember, how was that 4 or 5 years ago, Greg? When we had that, when they just floated that thing about asking for a deposit or some money.
Oh, yeah, there was.
About this, they literally came through and it was asking for an authorization. And the good part about us, we don't handle the money part. But they were asking one of the directors.
Well, they knew, who our senior accounting clerk was, the person that is responsible for AP, and so they directly emailed her with what was apparently an approval from me, and she, based on the training, everybody's training, because we're all being trained in this, she sent it back to me. Can you confirm this? Because this doesn't look quite right. And so, no, that's not me. That's obviously not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the staff, I think daily I get at least 2.
Well,
at least 2.
In the mining insurance industry, they sent a authorization for a $300,000 check. the person was out of the office. They get the video conferencing with your picture up there saying, yeah, I'm okaying this. They authorized a $300,000 check. The reason the insurance company got involved, because they want you to know if they called the insurance company to see if they would cover it. The person that supposedly authorized it walked in 20 minutes after they had sent the money to them, saying, how's everything going? We just saw you on FaceTime. No, you didn't. I just pulled in the parking lot. So the crooks are a lot more sophisticated. And two things I think Director Washington brought up about things. I don't click on anything because once you click, you open your back door up to the free world as you know it.
Yeah.
But the other part I think that we, the directors, have to be mindful of, since we don't interact that much, that if you didn't ask for it, don't even look for it. Because if you did not ask for it, and I'm real good about picking up the phone and saying, I call the bank all the time, did you send me this? Because I think the other scary part, like you're talking, all our information is floating around someplace. And they can get a thread started that John sent to you, that sent to Greg, oh, he's out of the office, can you come do this here? Can you just give me a verbal authorization or computer authorization? And all you gotta do is get $10,000 a pop. So good heads up on your folks for it, good heads up.
Yeah, we're in it.
Yeah.
We're in it. We're experiencing it, so that's all I have.
Thank you.
I have a couple comments, right quick. Well, first of all, I think we all understand no more date of births for passwords. But I wanted to go back to our discussion about the water committee, not the water committee, the committee meetings in general. And I want to speak a little specifically because I know you mentioned, Director Webb, about the conservation. Director Glennon, myself, Kim, and Sherry have been working in the water committee meeting, and that's one of the topics we really hot and heavy on is water conservation and how, in fact, we're going to meet our goals as a community. Now, Director Glennon and myself attended I think it was Department of Water Resources meeting last week. They kicked off. I can't remember, SB 1157, but at any rate, had some really good innovative ideas on how we can, in fact, meet our goals and save water. And, I like to keep hammering home those low flush toilets, but if you sit down and crunch the numbers, there's a substantial saving there. So that's all I had on. I want to comfort you on that, to know that we are hot and heavy on that.
Thank you.
Jim, I had one quick question before we go from you. I've not heard anything in months now about our succession plans and our strategic plans. I know they were in committee at one point, but did it die in the committee, or what's the status of them?
We're in the process of implementing our succession plan as it relates to your general manager position. So just so you're aware, we are in the assistant general manager recruitment. We're down to 2 candidates. I'm going to be interviewing them next week and picking one of them probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Is that a clandestine operation? Because I know when we initially talked about them, then they went into committee, and it's been at least 4 or 5 months. I haven't heard nothing on either topic.
On the succession plan?
Succession or the strategic plan. I've heard nothing. And even in succession, even if we're putting people in place, we still have to have overall a shell I would like to see. But I've heard nothing. I know.
I think I've shared the organization chart with you.
We've looked at that there, but is that not finalized? Is that still in flux?
No, that's essentially the succession.
Well, I haven't seen a finished product of it.
We haven't filled all the positions yet.
Well, do we know?
We're working on it.
Well, I know a couple we talked about, but still kind of see where we're headed on that.
Okay.
And then the succession plan, I mean, that was before the strategic plan was for the succession plan. I haven't heard on nothing. That's 6 months easily. I haven't heard nothing on those.
Be happy to share that with you in the next, maybe perhaps that's something we can put for discussion.
Yeah, because again, they're just out there dangling, and if we fill a position that changes the dynamics on some of this stuff, I would think that a position fulfills the part on the succession, but how does it reflect on the strategic side of it?
Okay.
So it'd be kind of nice to see those, because literally those went into a committee And the committee may be up to date on them, but I don't have a clue about them. And that was the beginning of your thing we're kind of talking about. So if you could, I appreciate that one, sir. That's all I got there. Thank you.
All right. Director of Administration, Sherry Tim.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this month, we had delivered 88 door tags notifying account holders of pending shut-off for non-payment. We had 914 accounts that were charged a late fee for past due payments. The total amount collected was $7,764.68. And I just have to say, with regards to the cybersecurity, we have been speaking about cybersecurity, what to do, and be aware of it for quite some time. Some of the stuff attended several years ago, I reported back on, so we were ahead of the game, I think, on that, and knowing what and getting staff up to speed and testing the staff and training the staff. So it's an ongoing process because the threats are real. So I'm glad you guys are attending and on board with all that. And if there's no questions, that's the end of my report.
Sherry, quick question, maybe for the gym. The lady that came to the meeting, I believe, about her bill or whatever,
For arrangement,
what, did that work itself out? Is that in place?
arrangement was made.
Okay,
And so it's current at the moment.
okay, so everything's kind of back on
It
track.
transpired.
Okay,
So hopefully it will continue and the bill will be paid.
okay, that's it.
So I only got 80 door tags shut off, 914 late fees. Door tags, we didn't get any shut offs?
The shut-offs occurred earlier in the month. That's the process that we had, I believe, 13.
Okay.
That was reported last meeting.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's the end of my report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Director of Public Works, John.
Hey, I'd just like to comment right quick on what Sherry was saying, and she is 100% correct. She's been talking about cybersecurity for over 2 years now. I've had discussions with her about it, and I believe you've been in some extensive training. Am I correct, Sherry, about this? And you've shared it with employees?
I have, thank you.
That's what I thought. So that's all I have.
The wise words of Snoop Dogg, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So I appreciate
There
it.
you go. You know, I stole that from you.
I expect to check in the mail, sir. I said,
He's going from Snoop Dogg.
but he don't know me. Okay.
Ben said at the meeting a couple months ago, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And that was in terms of our response to emergencies. I remember that, Ben.
Appreciate it. John Houghton, sir.
Yeah, I don't have anything to report. If you have any questions on the public works report, I'll be happy to answer them.
You know, John, it's pretty impressive. I saw the truck going down the street, the big unit and all that. And even though, you know, it's there, it's pretty impressive to see that bigger truck going down and the crew with it and them working and whatever. And I know when it's out there, it's working. It's not just going from point A to point B. So, you know, thanks for having your people out there and taking care of it, because I think of all the stuff we do, when you know that truck's out there, you know something's literally getting done at the moment of. So.
I do have one question. John, what was were you able to determine what the cause of the SSO was?
Yeah, so it had to have been prior to 26 years ago, because I've been here that long. Somebody used rubber clamp hubs, you know, like you use for gravity feed sewer clamps on that force main.
Really?
It was expanding it, you know, because of the pressure. And so the rubber if you look at the hose clamp, there's a hose clamp cut with that rubber. But yeah, somebody did a repair there years ago, because I know it wasn't what happens here. And
But
it
yeah.
rubber hose clamps.
Well, you guys did a great job on getting
See
that.
what we replaced it with, we put the column stuff like this there. Did it right, so.
I saw the pictures and I was really impressed with the cleanup. You can't even tell there was anything there. The dirt was clean, everything was clean. So thank you very much.
Okay. If there's nothing else for the good of the meeting, we are adjourned at 7:10 p.m. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Right there.
Right?